Hi, second graders. It's about time for us to talk about telling time and clocks. Yay! Brady came along. He's here to help me. Thanks, Brady. Brady wants you to know that there are two different kinds of clocks that you're going to see and get used to using. One of them has the hands, the minute and hour hands. That is called an analog clock. The other way of telling time is going to look something like this. We got a blank one here. And that is called a digital clock. So my goal for you guys is to get really comfortable with being able to tell time and create time on a clock using minute and hour hands. So let's get started. Did you know that there are 24 hours in one full day? And during the day, we can do lots of things like cuddle, have breakfast, what else can we do? Read a book, play, go outside, have a walk. We can talk to our friends. There's so much that we can do during the day. So I want you to stop and think, have you ever heard anyone use AM and PM? Because in a 24-hour day, there's 12 hours, I'm sorry, you're a little sleepy. There's 12 hours that stand for the AM, and there's another 12 that stand for the PM. So 12 plus 12 is 24 hours in a full day. So I'm not sure if you guys know what AM and PM mean. So I want to talk about that and what those words mean. Okay, pretty simple. After a time, you might see the letters AM or PM. Well, they have a special meaning. AM stands for ante-meridium, and that sounds really fancy because it's Latin for before the middle of the day. Ante means before, and meridium means the middle. So you can almost see where it looks like the word middle. So in the middle of the day, that's the time that we know as noon. So 12 o'clock noon is the middle of the day. And when I see PM, that means it's post-meridium or after the middle. I'd like you to think about what do you do in the AM and PM part of the day. Let's make a chart and separate what do you do in the morning or in the afternoon. What's a typical activity that you have? Some common things kids your age might do in the morning are eat breakfast, get dressed, brush their teeth, get on the bus, well not lately, wake up, brush or comb your hair, maybe play a game, maybe you slept in, maybe you're going to school or you take a shower or bath. Some things that you might do in the afternoon, night, or evening time, those PM hours, you might have specials at school, you might dance or do a sport, you might shower, take a bath, you might go home, you might eat lunch and dinner, you might play, go to bed, brush your teeth, put pajamas on. Can you think of any more activities that you might do in the morning or nighttime? We all have different routines at home, so especially with the coronavirus and staying home, it might be different than normal. So think about what you do in the day and in the morning time, and we can share those during our Zoom meeting. So when we have the very beginning of the day, which is 12:01 a.m., the sun is still down and we're sleeping, and the sun comes up, it's still the morning, and I usually wake up about 5 or 6 o'clock, so I might see the sun coming up. And it's still AM until it's 12 o'clock noon. You might be having lunch at that point. After 12:01, that is now, 12 o'clock actually, it is now PM, post-meridium. It's building toward midnight or the rest of the day, the rest of the half of the day. So in those hours between 12 noon and midnight, I call those the PM times or post-meridium times. How many people use the words ante-meridium and post-meridium when they talk about time? They just say AM or PM. And when we build from noon until midnight, there's different times of the day. We might call it the afternoon, a little bit later. around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We call that the evening. Once the sun starts to go down and there's no more sunlight, we call that night. And then we have 12 o'clock, midnight. Once again, here is a digital clock. I'm guessing that most of you are very comfortable with reading a digital clock. The time is easily laid out for you. 3 o'clock, I can see that very simply. When I look at a digital clock, I notice that there are spaces before and after those 2 dots. Well, what are they for? Well, before the 2 dots, we call that the place where we put our hours, and then afterwards we put the minutes. So it goes hours, then minutes. And those little dots, those are called, that's called a colon. So that symbol breaks it up. When you read time, it's very similar to reading money. You have a decimal point that separates the dollars from the cents. So just like that, we have a colon that separates the hours from the minutes. 60 minutes equals 1 hour. So that means minutes are fractions of an hour. So until I have a full 60 minutes, I'm going to have numbers over here. And then it starts again at 0, 0. So when I have 1 minute, that's 1/60th of an hour. Just like money, until I have 100 cents, I don't have $1 yet. I have a fraction of $1. So money and time are very similar. I want to show you a really easy way to make a clock. So you first make a circle, and then you're going to put a dot in the center, and that's where your minute and hour hands are going to come out. Now when I draw a minute hand, it's going to be longer, and it reminds me of the word minute. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters long, and the word hour is only 4 letters long. So that tells me this is a long hand, and this is a short hand. So we're going to talk about that and how we make our clock. So the 12 goes at the top, and then when I divide it in half, the 6 goes right beneath it, the bottom half. The 3 is going along in between the 12 and the 6, and then across from the 3, over here, I have the 9. So if you notice, I've kind of broken my clock into 4 equal pieces. So this is 1/4 of the hour. This is 1/4 of the hour. And this is 1/4 of the hour. And this is my last fourth. So when you make your clock, you want to make sure that these are spaced out evenly so that you have a great clock. So this is really important because right from the start, if you get these 2 things confused, you're going to have a really hard time telling time. So the hour hand is a shorter word, and that helps me remember that's a shorter hand. The minute hand is longer, and so is the word minute. So when it travels around the clock, the hour hand, it's going to go very slowly, and the minute hand goes very quickly. So when we tell time and I see that long minute hand, it's going to help me know how many minutes it is past the hour and how many minutes until the next hour. And I'm going to show you on my clock Judy. Right now my minute and hour hand are right against each other. So that means it's either noon or 12 midnight. Both hands are at the 12 and it's 0 minutes. And as my minute hand travels, I want you to notice that my hour hand went really, really slowly. So now it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, up to the next hour. And now my hour hand has traveled really slowly just from the 12 to the 1, but my minute hand went all the way around. So the hour hand takes an entire hour to move from one number to the next. So you see those large numbers on a clock? Those are the numbers that are meant to tell you what hour it is. You have to count by 5s in order to figure out how many minutes it is. And these are little helper tools. So I made you guys a clock and I laminated it, and it has those flaps that you open up and you can see how many minutes it is. Right now my clock, Judy, is showing 1 o'clock. So it's an O with an apostrophe clock, o'clock. That's how we say a time when it is just starting a new hour and there's 0 minutes after the hour. So I'm going to make my clock say a new time. Now my hour hand is pointing to the 2. That large number tells me the hour. So now it's not 1 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock. My minute hand traveled all the way around, started back again at the 12, and that's where new hours begin. It's now 2 o'clock. So that little hand tells me the hour, and the long hand tells me the minutes. So when it starts up at the 12, that's 0, and it goes all the way around to the number 59. 59. And when it gets to 60 minutes, that means it's the next hour. So let's do it again. I'm going to make my minute hand go all the way around. What hour is it? It's not 2 o'clock anymore, it's 3 o'clock. So when a new hour starts, that minute hand has to be right up on the 12. And I know you guys learned a little bit about time in first grade. Mrs. Whitaker let me know. So I want you guys to be really comfortable and understand how to tell time to the exact hour. Whenever I see 30 in the minutes, 30 minutes, that's equal to half of an hour. So when I watch a TV show, usually it's a 30-minute TV show. So it's half of an hour. So I want to show you on the clock how to make the time say 30 minutes. I'm going to count by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. When my minute hand is pointing to the 6, that tells me it's 30 minutes past the hour. So I'm going to show you how that looks. I noticed that the minute hand, when it's 30 minutes past the hour of 3, it's touching the 6. I also noticed that the hour hand has moved. Can you describe where it is? Where's the hour hand? Did you notice that the hour hand is also halfway through the hour? The hour hand's going to travel through here. This is where the hour 3 owns the clock, right? So the hour hand is halfway there because I'm halfway through the hour. So the hour hand has to show where it is as well. It's halfway through the hour. You can't just leave it touching the 3. This is incorrect. I'm going to be very picky about it. When it's 30 minutes past, or 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, I think you get the point. The hour hand is shorter and it's in between those two numbers. You can't just leave it on the hour. You have to move it along. So anytime that there's 30 minutes showing in the time, you have to make sure the hour hand is halfway between those two numbers. This week, you're going to be responsible for writing in the time in many different analog clocks. So I really want you to understand my expectations for how your clock hands are going to look. So I want to imagine that the time I need to write is 8:30. So I just remembered that 30 minutes, my minute hand, which is the long hand, is going to touch the 6, right? And here's my little reminder, it's 30, yep. Now 8:30, that means I have to put my hour hand between the 9 and 8. And the hour hand, that's a shorter hand. So when I draw my hour hand, it should be straight and it should be not even touching the numbers. And it should be pointing to halfway between the 8 and 9. And that is how it shows me 8:30. Okay, so I want you guys to understand my expectations that your lines need to be straight and they need to be accurately pointing to the numbers. Okay, that tells me you're learning how to tell time. So when I look at a clock, I want you guys to notice that it is divided evenly into quarters. Each section of the clock that I've made is 1/4 of an hour, right? quarters. Just like in a dollar, there's 4 quarters in a dollar. So I want you to know and learn what that means. When the minute hand touches the 12, that means there's 0 minutes. That's where new hours begin. So I'll say o'clock. When my minute hand touches the 3, that means there's 15 minutes past the hour. And it'll look like that. I'll have 15 minutes in the hour or the time. When it's at the 6, that's 30 minutes. And I might hear the words half past. I might hear 30 minutes past. And then I also want you to know that when the minute hand touches the 9, that means there's 45 minutes in the hour. So I want you guys to get really comfortable and know these 4 specific minute times. O'clock, 00, 15 minutes past, half past, and 45 minutes past. So I've got my clock broken up into my 4 parts. I want to talk really specifically about when the minute hand touches the 3. So that means it's 15 minutes past the hour, and we'll also say quarter past. So let's imagine it's 4:15. Might be a good show on right then, maybe Ellen or something. So when it's 4:15, I could hear people say it's quarter past 4. That's something you might hear people say. You might also say it's 15 minutes past 4. Or you might hear someone say 15 minutes after 4. Those all tell the time 4:15. I've got all my tools here ready to go, and I made a time on my analog clock. I want you to notice the hour hand is a little past the 6. That's because the minute hand has traveled to the 3. It's just gone a quarter of the way through the hour. So I'm going to remind you, count these numbers by 5s for the minutes. So it goes 5, 10, 15. When my minute hand's on the 3, that means it's 15 minutes. So my hour hand, it's past the 6, but it's not yet at the 7, so it's still the hour of 6. So my time here is 6:15, which means it's quarter past 6, or 15 minutes past 6, or 15 minutes after 6. These all say the same time.